Hi, my name is Poultney. It is December 7th, 2025, and it is 2:45 p.m. So today I'm going to be talking about Activity 3, and what I decided to focus on was the gut and the microbiota, or microbiomes. So before we get that, I'm going to start by talking about my eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. So starting off with my eukaryotic cell, as we have a picture here, I drew out all the different parts: the cytosol, ribosomes, mitochondria, nucleus, cytoskeleton. I tried to draw out a lot of parts. So starting off, this is a lot of these organelles are membrane-bound organelles, like the mitochondria, which is right here, and I did draw 3 of them to show. They are just very important. This is your, like, human cells. This is what your gut cell is. And then we have your bacteria cell. So here I have the cell wall, the ribosomes, and the nucleode, which is the DNA. And this is a loop DNA. It's not like in the eukaryotic cells. You can see that they are very different. And then I also want to take point to show the scales of these two. So the eukaryotic cell, you have to keep in mind, is very big and much bigger than the prokaryotic. And you can see by my scale that they are very different sizes. And you do need to keep that in mind when looking at these two organelles. So continuing on with my findings, I have my picture of my microbiota in the gut. So as you can see, these are all gut, and I'll talk about these two interactions. So starting over here, we have the healthy relationship, and this is the gut epithelium. This is some muscle, and these are all the microbiota. You can see this is a really good relationship, no harm, nothing's happening. If we look over here, there is an invasion of the cell, and this is an unhappy relationship. This could be a chronic illness, some bacteria that's not supposed to be there. This is just not what you want. You really want to be over here. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the gut. The gut is the secret garden, and the microbiota in the gut is the secret garden. And this is just, there's so many different kinds. There are about 150 to 170 different bacterial species thriving and taking advantage of this gut. And these microbiota need a special type of environment, and they take advantage of that, which is the warmth and the nutrient-rich environment which they need to survive. Without it, they wouldn't really be able to thrive or go along. And this relationship, I want to point out, is a symbiotic relationship because the microbiota are thriving, they're using the gut, but the gut isn't getting harmed, nothing's really happening for the gut. The only ones that are thriving are the microbiota, but they're causing no harm to the gut whatsoever. They're actually helping the gut, so it's just a symbiotic relationship. So I want to talk about some of the advantages of the microbiota in a happy relationship versus in an unhappy relationship. So one of the research studies that I looked at was it was a comparative effect of 22 dietary sources of fiber on gut microbiota of health humans. So they focused on the fermentation of what happens when you're digesting foods, and they kind of just talked about how some of these bacterial fermentation can happen and it can cause some harms, and they just are trying to point out that you should be careful what you're eating and what you're doing as you get older. So starting with the healthy side, the microbiota in the gut is very helpful. It creates a good gut lining. It really helps make sure that nothing bad happens. They want to create a safe spot for you to digest food and process things, and that's really what they're trying to do here. But there can also be some challenges, especially as you get older, with the fermentation and the bacterial fermentation, and that can lead to an increase in gas production, and that can cause a lot of pain, discomfort, and even bloating, and that's really not what you want. It's not good for your gut at all, and you really want to try to stay away from that. There's also another problem with the fermentation, and that is it has a lower pH, and this can happen fast and rapidly, and it can cause lots of discomfort, and it can lead to an imbalance in your gut, and you really don't want that, and that it can be really harmful for you, and you really don't want that. But that was my findings on the gut microbiome, and you really do want that healthy, happy relationship. That was my project. Thank you, and Ella Poultney. Thank you.